Is there such a thing as a good short match? I imagine it's an answer that can be debated till the cows come home, and even then hindsight plays a major role in how we see such flashes in the pan. Take Sheamus and Daniel Bryan from WrestleMania that went 18 seconds. It was awful at the time, but without that, maybe Bryan wouldn't have risen to the prominence he did. There's just no way to know. By and large though, long bouts are equated to 5-star classics, whereas short ones are considered pointless and a reason to go online and start moaning. We're not here to argue that today though. Instead, we're going in with the stats and facts and looking at what matches are among the shortest ever within Vince McMahon's company. I'm Simon from What Culture, and yes, these are the 10 shortest matches in WWE history. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to stay notified. Ding, ding, done. Number 10, Kofi Kingston vs Brian Kendrick. Happening on a Raw in July 2009 in what at the time was Kendrick's last match before he returned in 2016 for the Cruiserweight Classic, the problem here is that Brian wasn't focused. He was more interested in cutting a promo on Jerry Lawler while completely ignoring his opponent Kofi Kingston in the process. This was kind of obvious to see coming as well, given that at one point Kendrick said, and I quote, "Nobody embarrasses me." In the world of WWE, that's basically like a moth to the flame. Foreshadowing is big in wrestling, even if sometimes it makes you want to slap yourself in the head. However, yes, Kingston did indeed smash him in the face with a Trouble in Paradise and pinned him in 11 seconds. It happened so quick it even took the ref by surprise, as he had to count the fall outside of the ring on the apron. That was that though. Brian was on his way with a less than awesome farewell. Number 9, CHAVO GUERRERO vs KANE. We all know that WWE's version of ECW sucked bad, and a lot of that can be seen in how the company treated it at WrestleMania 24. Despite being for the ECW Championship and on the biggest show of the year, the decision was made that KANE should beat CHAVO in 11 seconds and win the title. Because why try and make the belt feel like it's actually important? What a waste of time that would be. Saying that, at one point there was a tease that this would actually be a big deal in the sense that the Big Red Machine had won a Battle Royal earlier in the evening to earn the shot. That was all window dressing, however, because as soon as the two were in the ring, Guerrero got smashed with a chokeslam and he was out on his back. This was a squash match and it just happened to be for a championship and at WrestleMania. What a time 2004 was. Number 8, Sheamus vs ZACK RYDER. Poor ZACK RYDER. No matter how hard he tries, what he does, or how over he is, he can never catch a break within the WWE. He has found his position and seemingly he will never be allowed to move, aside from the odd moment here and there. A low point of this bad fortune came back in 2010 on Raw, where he was handed a WWE title shot against then champ Sheamus. And we've already talked about him in relation to short matches. The man knows all about them. If fans thought this match would kickstart a push for Ryder though, well, they were dead wrong, because it took just one bro kick from Sheamus and a lazy cover, and he'd already beaten the challenger in about 10 seconds. What the point of this was, I don't know, because he didn't do much for the Irishman, the title, or Ryder. It was just a way to fill TV time, and I always find that odd. Do it because we can, a run of logic that will ultimately kill us all before we know it, and we'll be in the ground. It's still to this day the quickest WWE title match in Raw history, but there have still been quicker ones elsewhere. Which brings us to the next entrant on the list. Number 7, Randy Orton vs Rusev. This still upsets me. Doesn't really matter now as no one remembers it, but at SummerSlam 2017, Rusev was put into a feud with Randy Orton for the WWE title, and it was all over in 9 seconds. 9 seconds! Still can't believe it. It's almost like no one backstage realizes what they have in the Bulgarian Brute, or what fans would actually like to see from a title match. Here, Rusev basically arrived in the ring, got hit with an RKO out of nowhere, and that was that. He was out for the count, and Orton's troublesome title reign of 2017 continued onward until he lost it to Jinder Mahal. I think we should all pretend none of this happened, because it's just sadness all round, and I want to be sad. Thankfully, Rusev Day hadn't been born at this stage, so at least he didn't lose on such a wonderful occasion, and that does make me feel better. I can sleep easier at night. Number 6, Bob Backlund vs Diesel. This one is just strange all around. It started when Bob Backlund shockingly won the WWE title from Bret Hart at Survivor Series in 1994. No one expected that. And then it got weirder when Backlund found himself squaring off against Diesel at a house show in Madison Square Garden just 2 days later. There, it only took 8 seconds for Kevin Nash to slam Backlund with a jackknife powerbomb and become the man with the gold as everyone tried to keep up with the story. This was the definition of a squash, even though the championship was on the line and Diesel would hold on to the belt for 358 days. It was like pinball booking, but to be fair to WWE, it did keep everyone on their toes. We all know what happened during Diesel's reign, but hey, we're not here to talk about that today. It was what it was, and it always will be. Number 5, the great KHALI versus DAMIEN SANDOW. Rule number 1 in the wrestling business: don't get yourself over if the company doesn't want you to get over. It'll only result in you having your ass whooped from pillar to post, much like DAMIEN SANDOW in 2014. In the midst of an impersonation gimmick, he decided to dress up as Vince McMahon and mimic the boss right in front of his very eyes. Or at least I presume so. Someone that definitely did see it in the flesh was Stephanie McMahon, who didn't take too kindly to it at all. In fact, she was so upset about it, she sent the great KHALI to teach Sandow a lesson. Given it was a fight, Damien tried to hold his own, but within 6 seconds he had been chopped in the head and had his shoulders pinned to the mat. It was one of the quickest losses in the history of Raw, and it did nothing for Sandow, especially because at this point, KHALI was long past his prime. Damien may as well have lost to a goat. Number 4, The Rock versus Eric Rowan. Well, this was just ridiculous, wasn't it? Happening at WrestleMania 32 and lasting a whopping 6 seconds, The Rock decided he just had to beat someone on the big stage, and Eric Rowan was his target. All this came after Dwayne had taken about 45 years to get to the ring, and at one point set his own name on fire. I still don't know what that was. He was interrupted by the Wyatt family though, and didn't take too kindly to this, challenging any one of them to a fight right then and right there. Rowan was the lamb to be slaughtered on this night, and it took just one rock bottom to go on record as the shortest match in WrestleMania history. And you know why that happened? Because The Rock loves breaking records. Great, just great. Glad we did this. Seems to make a lot of sense. Number 3, The Rock versus the Big Boss Man. Look who's back! The Rock is clearly no stranger to handing out quick losses to other wrestlers, but at least this one had a story behind it and led to one of the best swerves in years. Survivor Series 1998 centered on one giant tournament to crown a new WWE champion, and because of that, Vince McMahon was in a, well, we better do a lot of quick matches mode. For example, elsewhere on the show, Mankind beat Dwayne Gill in about 30 seconds. Time was of the essence. The People's Champ utterly trumped this, however, when it was revealed his original opponent, that would be Triple H, wasn't going to be able to compete as planned. His replacement would be the Big Boss Man, and as he ran into the ring, The Rock simply rolled him up for the quick pin. It literally took about 5 seconds. Now, when it was revealed the Great One had secretly been in cahoots with the corporation, at least we had justification for this. The Boss Man was that group's heavy, so clearly threw the match in order to allow Rock to progress. Or at least that's what I'm telling myself, and always will do. Number 2, Spike Dudley versus William Regal. On Raw in April 2002, Spike Dudley took on William Regal. Being the dastardly heel he was, Regal went to work straight away by accidentally dropping some brass knucks in order to distract the referee. He then went and put another pair behind the turnbuckle so he could use them later on. At least that was his plan. Unfortunately, Spike saw this from the back, and as Regal wasn't looking, simply grabbed the weapon from its hiding place and then hit William in the face for the 3-second win. He also became the new European champion. You may be asking yourself why the referee didn't question what had happened here, given he turned around to see Spike just pinning Regal. Whatever. The main joy here was the Englishman once again proving that no matter what you gave him to do, he would be amazing at it, because he was amazing at everything. Long live William Regal. Number 1, Jerry Lawler and Chris Jericho versus Taz and Mideon. Oh boy. 2000 was an interesting year for WWE, and that's made more clear when you go back and visit moments like this. Not only were a lot of crazy things happening anyway, but certain new members of the roster, like Taz, were being taught that working away from the WWE before coming in may not exactly work in your favour. This is why only a few months after his debut, the Human Suplex Machine was booked in a comedy feud against Jerry Lawler, and this was not good. The low light came when he was indeed in a tag team match on Raw against the King and Jericho. As he waited for his partner to arrive, Hulk Hogan's famous entrance music played, utterly confusing Taz in the process. Then out came naked Mideon, replicating the Hulkster. It was so atrocious it threw Taz off his game entirely, to the point just as the bell rang, Lawler rolled him up and beat him in 3 seconds. It is the quickest loss in WWE history and goes to show that the Attitude Era was not the beacon of hope everyone remembers it being. It had amazing moments, sure, but it also had dumb stuff like this.
Gosh, can you believe that person said that about that particular video on that entry? I sure can't. But you should like, share and subscribe below anyway. And also, the people who made this video, they're right here. Go follow them and give them some love. Also, there's more content, probably above my head. Check it out. Or don't. 50-50.